Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and I want to talk to you whether this character is good for a rerun Jingliu in version 2.1. Now first off, I see a lot of comments asking me how to pronounce her name. It's not Jingliu with a T, it's Jingliu with a J. So that's just a very quick thing. I see a lot of information going around. But anyways, let's talk about this character as well as how is she good in version 2.1. So let's talk first things first. I'll give you a very quick TLDR. Let's start off first with the biased point of view. If you like this character, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor and pull this character. You don't know when a second rerun is coming, and this is a character that a lot of people like the fans behind her are super crazy. And second reruns have never came so far in the game, and we don't know when that's gonna happen because it's just the way the whole system works. We have one new character, one rerun every single patch. This means that you will always have the second banner as your rerun character that has never appeared before. Given the trend how it's moving forward. So there's only two ways they can have a second rerun. Firstly is they include a third banner, which means we'll have 6 limited banners going on at the same time. That would be crazy to make a decision between all of them. Or the second option is holdovers can drag out the first rerun and slot in some second reruns here and there, which I would say is actually worse for free-to-play players, because then if you, for example, miss Akirion, you have to wait like double the length to get back your character again. So I hope they don't do that. I hope that they at least have more banners so that at least a choice is better than no choice at all, and that is my opinion. So that is the biased point of view. Second reruns have never come. If you have resources, you're sitting on the fence, you can always pick her up. A character in future that is coming out for the first time likely will have their first rerun like 6 months. Lota is like the longest, which I think was 8 months or something, but at least you have some sort of certainty and clarity that they will definitely be coming back sometime in the near future. Second rerun, so far no information. Now that is the biased point of view, people with like a bit more attachment to particular characters. Now I want to talk a bit more of from an unbiased standpoint. From a logical standpoint, is Jingliu still worth it in version 2.1? Let's just put it very bluntly, she has fallen off the meta quite significantly. Not fault on her own, not because she's a weak DPS, she's a very strong DPS. Most of us would know and still remember how she dominated the meta for many patches. Reminiscent, very similar to how Zealer was in the first few days of 1.0 for quite a while of time as well. But every character will have its day, except Yansing. Yansing doesn't have his day yet. Maybe someday that day will come. But jokes aside, for Jingliu, in my opinion, I think that characters, if you have already a very strong DPS, for example, you put Akirion, you got Lucky on her banner, you might not need a second DPS right now, especially since you have Doctor Ratio on the other half. The only people that I think should consider getting a very strong other DPS to carry their account would be people that didn't pull for DPSs and are maybe new players into the game. So you have Doctor Ratio on one half, and maybe you are planning to get a couple of other characters to solidify his position, and then you are seeing, I need another DPS to carry my second half. I think Jingliu would then offer you a good value for your account. She is not a character that's best in pure fiction. Her memory of chaos depends on the meta that is revolving. If the enemy is very resistant to ice, she might struggle a little bit as well. But one thing's for sure is she does pretty balanced in both. She can do both pure fiction and memory of chaos, and that's because she's of course of a destruction class, which allows her to like hit multiple enemies, very similar to that of like Blade, very similar to that of Imbiber to Lune. So she'll offer you a very good balanced account, and I can't not recommend this character if you're a new player joining the game. Or secondly, maybe you put Akirion, you have no other character because you only joined in version 2.0 or 2.1. And in that case, a Jingliu one side, Akirion one side, likely will be very strong. The only downside to this is your Pella will be like stretched in between both of them. So that's something that I want you to know before actually committing to make the pull. One important thing that I think a lot of people forget is you might have very meta characters, but if they all use the same supports, at the end of the day, you will feel your account is very unbalanced, which is why the 2.0 into 2.1 meta of a Kafka Black Swan, where they support each other, and nihility characters, for example, like Gui Naifen, Sampo and all those, help them out. Akirion uses different kind of supports, which is the other nihility characters like Pella, for example. So a bit different cast, which is why it's still quite balanced. Akirion on one side, Black Swan and Kafka on one side. But definitely, without a doubt, the meta is going to be shifting. We have already talked about it on the channel, how Topaz, Doctor Ratio might all see a bit more play going into Aventuring's banner and beyond as well. You can check that video out if you haven't seen on the channel. We talk about a changing meta and shifting meta too. But that's a bit more besides the point. That's talking about broader changes. So back to Jingliu. One reason why she was very popular also back then is we didn't have too many other DPSs in an AoE fashion. It was really Jingliu and Ibai Lune. And truth be told, she also didn't have much competition because the only weakness breakers that we had at that time were Pella, who doesn't offer too much ice break damage. We had Mark 7, who was really more of a defensive unit and a simulated universe unit rather than like a DPS character that's ice breaking. And Yanqing, who unfortunately is the butt of almost everyone's jokes, except me, of course. Huge respect to this man. But Japad is also another one who doesn't really offer too much ice breaking. So Jingliu was very favorable because a lot of things lined up for her. Herta was also not very meta because Pure Fiction wasn't released yet. But fast forward all the way now to 2.1, Herta has become like meta in the Pure Fiction game mode. She's very, very usable there. At the same time, we have a new character called Misha that has been added into the game. Some of you maybe have no idea what he does. I highly recommend you check out the video on our channel where we go in depth, just like search on our channel, Misha, and I talk about why this guy is so strong and so underrated because his ult really destroys ice weakness, toughness very, very quickly. So if you are justifying your pool that you need Jingliu because of an ice weakness breaker, you probably have Misha lying around. At least try him out, or even if you don't want to spend the resources to build him, watch the video and you will see how a level 80 Misha with decent investment performs. You will be quite impressed if you have never cared too much about this particular character. So nowadays, ice weakness breaking, not super crucial. DPS wise has her options, and I think I want to talk about the next downside, which is a shifting meta going from a hyper carry comp over into a multiple DPS comp. One thing that you notice with the trend is a team like Black Swan and Kafka was one of the first meta teams that forced players to double invest in two characters. Like one DPS here, and arguably Kafka is like your second DPS. In a sense, Akirion is more of a hyper carry-ish style. If you have her at higher Eidolons with more nihility characters, you could build her for like a double DPS roster and scale into the late game, which is why they purposely make that E2 so valuable so that the next rerun we are all forced to pull to try to go as far as we can. I don't think it was a nice strategy for monetization, but it is what it is. And of course, upcoming, we might have the Topaz and Nambi Doctor Ratio double DPS strats, which I think it works a lot better if you are MiHoYoverse trying to sell you more characters so that they can run their profits a bit further as well. Not to say that Jingliu isn't possible to run a double DPS comp, it's just that it's a little bit more expensive. Right now, in my opinion, one of her best like double DPS teams is a team of Blade as well as herself, Jingliu, and Luota. Triple limited characters, very expensive to run, but it is still possible to scale into a double DPS team. You can switch out the last slot like Bronya, or you can switch out for Runmei nowadays. It worked very, very fine as well. I really used to like this team a lot, I still do, just that I don't see much use for it since enemies don't seem to be super weak to ice and wind of the late. So that is one of the things that I want to talk about. DOT and Akirion seems to be much more the flavor of the month, if you would rather. So she still has some ability to skill. She's fallen off the meta, but at the end of the day, you do want to have at least one character to help you clear some content rather than just pulling for meta supports. The biggest question is, do you want upcoming characters like Sam? Do you want upcoming characters like Robin, Boothill, and Sunday, maybe Firefly? Characters that we have seen but they haven't like said anything more about them so far. If you don't care about any of the designs of those characters, then I would say Jingliu is a pretty safe pick, especially if you don't care too much about Topaz and Nambi together with Aventurine, Doctor Ratio kind of comps, which we talked about as well. In that case, I would say that Jingliu would probably be not very worth it right now in version 2.1, unless, of course, for all the videos that we mentioned in the points that we mentioned in this video, you think otherwise. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and you like and subscribe for more of such straight to the point, honest feedback as well. I don't like to sugarcoat things. And check out the other video which we talk about changing meta, why Topaz and Nambi, the tides have changed from Jingliu dominating her banner. Is it Topaz and Nambi's turn to dominate? See you in the next video.